Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're watching this, chances are you or your family are right in the middle of a really high-stress situation. Getting that late-night phone call that a loved one has just been arrested in Truckee or anywhere else in Nevada County, man, that is a heart-stopping moment. It's a genuine crisis, and the uncertainty, it can be absolutely overwhelming. But right now, I just want you to take a deep breath. We are going to get through this together. Today, we're demystifying the single most important tool in this whole ordeal, the Nevada County bail schedule. By the end of this explainer, you're going to have a crystal clear, actionable understanding of exactly how this system works and what you're actually facing. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. 1. The Nevada County bail schedule. 2. Typical misdemeanor bail amounts. 3. Understanding the 10% premium. 4. Felony charges and exceptions. And 5. Moving forward with clarity. So when the initial shock of that phone call starts to wear off, this is the question that instantly takes its place, right? What is it actually going to cost to bring them home? It's a terrifying question. For most families, navigating the criminal justice system is completely uncharted territory. You might literally be picturing financial ruin or just agonizing over how you're supposed to scrape together these funds by tomorrow morning. It is completely valid to be scared, but getting the actual facts, that's what's going to solve the problem. Which brings us to Section 1, the Nevada County Bail Schedule. Think of the Nevada County Bail Schedule as your rulebook. Basically, it's an official document put together by the Nevada County Superior Court, and what it does is assign a specific predetermined bail amount to the vast majority of criminal charges. Now, why does this matter so much to you? Well, because it completely takes the mystery out of those initial hours after an arrest. For standard cases, you don't have to sit around waiting days to see a judge just to find out what the bail is. The court has already figured that number out in advance. And because that number is already set in stone for most offenses, it massively speeds up the timeline. As soon as your loved one finishes the standard booking procedures, which usually happens over at the Wayne Brown Correctional Facility, a bail bondsman can literally just look at the schedule, see the exact dollar amount needed for that specific charge, and kickstart the release process almost instantly. This schedule is exactly what makes a fast release possible. All right, let's move on to Section 2, typical misdemeanor bail amounts. And this brilliantly illustrates what we're actually talking about here. For common misdemeanors in Nevada County, you can typically expect something like public intoxication to be on the lower end, say between $500 and $2,500. Reckless driving, which, is an incredibly common charge for locals and tourists driving along Interstate 80 or Highway 267, usually ranges from $1,000 to $5,000. Petty theft sits in that $2,500 to $5,000 bracket, while a first offense DUI or simple assault, that might see bail set anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000. Now, seeing these thousands of dollars might give you a mini heart attack, but hold on to these figures for just a second, because that total bail amount, it's rarely what you actually have to pay out of pocket. Which leads us right into Section 3, understanding the 10% premium. This right here is the magic number, 10%. Under California state law, the premium you pay to a bail bondsman is set at exactly 10% of the total bail amount, period. It doesn't matter if it's a minor misdemeanor or a major felony. That percentage is legally capped and standardized across the board. So, the crucial point is understanding the huge difference between the total bail amount and your actual out-of-pocket premium. Let's say your loved one is facing a severe charge like a felony DUI. The bail schedule might dictate a massive $50,000 bail. Honestly, that number causes instant sticker shock for any family. But because of that 10% rule, your actual out-of-pocket cost to a bondsman to get them out is $5,000. Look, it's still a significant chunk of change, absolutely, but it transforms a totally impossible financial hurdle into something you can actually manage. Now, it's super important to understand the mechanics here. That 10% premium, it is non-refundable. Why? Because it compensates your bail bondsman for stepping in and taking on a massive financial risk on your family's behalf. They are basically going to the Nevada County Superior Court and saying, hey, we guarantee this full $50,000 if the defendant doesn't show up for their court dates. So that 10%, that's just the fee for their service, their speed, and their financial backing. Let's shift gears to Section 4, felony charges and exceptions. When we get into more serious offenses, those felony bail amounts jump up significantly. For instance, felony vandalism might range from $10,000 to $30,000. A DUI that actually causes an injury, that shoots up to between $25,000 and $75,000. And things like drug possession with intent to sell or domestic violence charges, those can easily push the bail anywhere from $50,000 all the way up to $200,000. But hey, remember what we just talked about in the last section? That 10% rule mathematically applies here too. So a terrifying $100,000 bail simply means a $10,000 premium.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that sometimes the standard schedule just gets tossed out the window. If the charge involves a really violent offense or a weapon that caused an injury, a judge actually has to personally evaluate the case at arraignment. Also, if the defendant has a track record of skipping court, the judge is probably going to bypass the schedule and set a much higher bail. And finally, think about the unique environment of Truckee. In cases where there's a huge flight risk, say an out-of-state ski season tourist who has zero local ties, the court might actually hold them until a judge can make sure the bail is high enough to guarantee they'll actually come back to Nevada County for their hearing.
Okay, bringing it all together with Section 5, moving forward with clarity. All right, here is your actual game plan. Step 1, use the numbers we've been talking about today as your mental starting point. This helps you get your family financially prepared. Step 2, pick up the phone and call a reputable 24/7 Truckee bail bondsman. And step 3, let that professional confirm the exact total with the Wayne Brown Correctional Facility. Keep in mind, a bail bondsman cannot negotiate the base bail amount that's strictly set by the court schedule. But they absolutely will verify the precise numbers based on the specific details of the arrest, so you know exactly what paperwork you're going to be signing. Navigating an arrest is frankly incredibly chaotic, but as we always say, understanding the process brings peace of mind. Knowing the mechanics of the Nevada County bail schedule, it acts like a beacon of hope in a really dark time. It replaces blind panic with predictability. You now know the difference between the total bail and that 10% premium, and you finally know what to expect. So, you've gathered the facts and you understand the financial reality. The final question is, now that you know the schedule, are you ready to take the next step to bring your loved one home? Making that first crucial call to a trusted bondsman is how you get the release process started. Look, securing bail is just the very first hurdle in the legal journey ahead of you, but it's a hurdle you now know exactly how to clear. The real question is, once they are home safely, how will you prepare for the court battles to come? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay strong and take care.